Hi everyone, welcome to another session in the playlist of Law and Language from Dharmapeetam. So in the previous sessions we had already started with subject-verb agreement, and we have seen some concepts regarding how to identify the subject and the predicate, which are the major two parts of a sentence. So now let us go into the subject-verb agreement. So in the previous sessions we have seen that two most important aspect in a sentence is nothing else but the subject and the verb. So subject verb agreement basically means the subject and the verb which are there in a sentence has got an agreement, a kind of understanding in between them. A clear-cut idea regarding what this agreement is or how this agreement has to be established will help us to avoid creating many kind of mistakes when we usually construct a sentence in English. The basic agreement is nothing else but if the subject is singular in the sentence, the verb also must be singular. If the subject is plural, the verb in the sentence also must be plural. Right? So the law is very simple. If the subject in the sentence is singular means denoting only one, the verb also should be in a singular form. If the subject in the sentence is plural, means more than one, the verb also must be in a plural form. So when it comes to subject, we know the subject is actually either a noun or a pronoun. So we can have one or more, the concept of singular and plural. What about verbs? Do we have singular and plural in verbs? The thing is, practically it may not be possible, but grammatically we have plural forms of verbs as well, right? So what do we usually do if we have to create a noun into a plural one? For example, we have boy. Boy denotes a single person, so that is a singular noun. What do we do to create its plural form? We add s, right? So boy, singular, plural, boys, right? Another one, mango. Mango means a single fruit. If we have more number of same fruit, what do we call it? Mangoes. mangoes. So we add es to some nouns to make it a plural. And there are some other nouns where we add ies as well. For example, if we have a noun like a knife, knife, we remove that fe and add ies, right? knives. So usually nouns are made into its plural form by adding es, es or ies. That is how we make the plurals of nouns. Boy singular, boys plural. Mango singular, mangoes plural. Knife singular, knives plural. Right? When we do the same thing with the verb, it becomes singular. Okay, so we usually say the boy plays. The boy plays, plays. So here what we did is boy is a singular, play is a verb, and according to this particular subject verb agreement, if the subject is singular, the verb also must be singular. So the singular form of the verb play is nothing else but a plays, right? So we construct the sentence like the boy plays. If it is a plural form, the boys, we say play. So this is the difference. This is one thing that we need to keep in our mind. When we add s, es or ies to the noun, it becomes the plural noun. Or when we add s, es or ies to the verbs, they become singular verb, right? So we construct sentences like the boy plays, the boys play. The girl dances well, the girls dance well. So when the subject is singular, we will have SES or IES added to the verb part, because that is how we make that a singular verb. Right? Now, when we have to make this agreement happen in between the noun, the subject and the verb in a sentence, we need to identify the real subject. That is very important. In the previous videos, as we have seen, we have considered, so we have seen symbol, subject, compound subject, complete subject, right? So based on the number of words that gets added into the subject part, it gets into the different classifications. But now when we have to make a agreement, this particular agreement between the subject and the verb, we need to identify the real subject in the sentence and the real verb. Obviously, verb, it is quite easy to identify because this verb is something that denotes an action, right? So identifying the action word in a sentence is quite easier. And when we ask this particular question, who or what, to this particular verb, we can identify the subject that we have seen earlier. Who is basically related to persons, humans, and that is basically used for identifying the things which are used as a subject, right? So how is it possible to identify the real subject in a sentence? Usually the subjects will be a single word that comes just before the verb. For example, we can say Ram goes to school by bus. Ram goes to school by bus. So here the action word is goes. So when we ask who goes to school by bus, the answer is Ram, and Ram is the subject there. So usually subjects will be a single word that is used before the verb. Sometimes it can be a group of words. Sometimes, for example, we can say the mangoes are good to eat. The mangoes are good to eat. Here the verb is are. So what are good to eat? The mangoes. So here two words are there. Mango is a noun, the is a determiner, an article, right? So these two come together to frame this particular subject, the mangoes, right? Sometimes what happens is there can be a number of words there, a number of words. For example, the new headmaster, comma, for the old school, comma, in the village, comma, behind the market, comma, near the bus stand, dash today. So what should we use there? Is it come or comes? C-O-M-E, come, or C-O-M-E-S, comes today? What is the right answer? So this blank which is left there, which we need to fill using either come or comes, is a verb, right? So the part before that is a subject. The new headmaster, all these fragments that comes in within the scope of this comma, entire things together forms the subject. And in every one of this classification within the comma, there is a noun, right? So the new headmaster, old school, in the village, behind the market, right? So in every part in that has a noun in this sentence. So which of these noun actually form the subject of the sentence? This is what is more critical. How can we identify the real subject among all these nouns that we have in the sentence? If we see these parts which are separated by these commas actually have a preposition, an adjective and a noun combination. For the old school, for is a preposition, the article, it's an adjective, old, it's an adjective, school is a noun. In the village, in, preposition, the, article, village, noun. So these kind of segments which starts with the preposition and ends with the noun. In between the preposition and the noun comes adjectives. There can be number of adjectives, any number of adjectives. Maximum is something around 8 adjectives we can have to describe a particular noun. So these fragments are actually known as prepositional phrases, right? Prepositional phrases. So we use prepositional phrases either in the subject part of a sentence or a predicate part of a sentence. These prepositional phrases, the speciality is that even if you remove these things out, the sentence will have its own meaning, and that is a complete meaning, right? And these prepositional phrases are just added to add more meaning or to add more explanation, either regarding the subject part or regarding the predicate part. So even though these prepositional phrases are there in a sentence, those nouns that comes inside this prepositional phrases will not be considered as a subject, right? Means even if we remove all these prepositional phrases out, the sentence will remain like the new headmaster dash today. So here, what is the real subject? The new headmaster, the article, new article. If we consider headmaster as a single word, headmaster itself is a noun, or if we split it, head becomes an adjective, master becomes the proper noun, right? Proper noun means here in the sentence. So that becomes the real subject. So let it be headmaster or master. Is it singular or plural? Master, it's a single person. So that is a singular noun. So when noun is a singular, the verb should be singular. So which one of these two verbs you given there, come or comes, which is singular? The verb with s, es or ies is a singular verb, right? So the sentence actually is the new headmaster comes today, right? So in case if we have any these kinds of prepositional phrases given there, it is definitely to create a kind of confusion in us. There will be more nouns in that, there will be plurals in that. It's quite easy to create a confusion, right? So we need to identify the real subject in that, and we need to make the verb agree with this particular subject, and that is how the sentence has to be constructed, right? So in the coming sessions, we can learn more about this, how different the subjects are to be identified in the sentence, or how differently the subjects can be used in the sentence, and how we have to make these agreements with that, right? So wait for the coming sessions. Thank you.